So you should have a drafting kit that you've rented from the shop that looks just like this. So it consists of an MDF board about 2 feet by 2 feet, a T-square, and this is going to be really important because this is going to be running along the edge of your MDF board and creating completely straight horizontal lines. And then conceivably, if my board is nice and square, I could also run my T-square this way to give myself straight and 90-degree vertical lines, but for the most part I usually don't trust it to be completely 90 degrees, so I'm usually going to be using one of these triangles, either my 45-45-90 triangle or my 30-60-90 triangle to create those vertical lines. You'll also have some French curves, and this is a really old method for drawing curves, and in theory on these shapes there's kind of every possible curve you would need. You'll notice that there are no consistent radiuses, or radii I should say. It's a constantly changing radii. If you want something with a constant radii, your kit also comes with a compass that you should be able to set within probably like a 3-inch radius it would max out at. And you also have your scale ruler, which we already went over. And then I've supplemented my tools with a good eraser, pencil. This is a heavier pencil that I would normally work with. Normally I would work with a lighter pencil, and then as I become more sure of my lines, I would switch to a heavier pencil. But for the sake of you being able to see my lines on the camera, I'm just going to be working with the heavy pencil the entire time. And then I also have an adjustable triangle. We don't have these included in your kit, although there is one at the shop in our communal tools section. And this is just for really specific angles that I'll need, such as the dovetail angle, which is a 1:8 ratio. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do as I get ready to lay my drawing out is I'm going to create some space for myself. I don't really want my drawing to be right at the edge of the paper at all, because I want to have room to create dimensions afterwards. And I also just, it kind of creates a claustrophobic feeling if the drawing is too close. So I'm gonna just put 2 lines there to make sure that I have a good size border well away from the edge of my paper. And then I'm going to start spacing out my drawing. So I have here my sketches that I've done. So here are 2 pages of sketches that I've done just trying to work out what my tool tote will look like. And you can actually use the architectural ruler in this case, where I can actually hold my ruler up there, and I have like a rough idea of what dimensions I want my tool tote to be. So you can see, or you might not be able to see just from the camera distance, but holding it up here, 0 to the end of my tool tote is about 14 inches, and that's a little bit too small for me. I wanted my tool tote to be a little longer, so I'm going to keep trying. At the 1/8 scale, 0 to the end of the tool tote is 22 inches, which I think is a pretty good dimension. So if I've sketched this to proportion, I can actually stay in this 1/8 scale and pull several of my dimensions off of this piece. So here you can see the sides will go up to about 18 inches. And then this side, because it's asymmetrical, will be closer to 14. So I can really kind of pull a lot of my dimensions off here instead of trying to guess at random what the dimensions should be. Okay, so I know that I'm going to have my front view here, which is going to be corresponding to my sketch here. And then I'm going to have my side view here and my top view here. So I want to space this out so that it's nice and readable, so that I'm getting as much information from it as possible, but I also want enough empty space to fill that empty space with dimensions and also let the drawing breathe a little. And I've looked on all of these different scales, and I've decided that 3/8 actually works the best for me, because from here to here is 22 inches, which is the length of my tool tote, and that fills out the paper a little bit better. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mark where 22 inches is. And all I really need is just a dash. And then I can make a heavier line here. So that's the bottom of my tool tote. So I know it's going to be 18 inches high. And I'm just going with my maximum dimensions for now, just to create an outline of where this drawing will fall. And this is where I'm going to be minimizing the number of times that I have to take a measurement, because every single time I take a measurement, that's sort of an opportunity for me to make a mistake. So then, rather than measuring all the way up to 22 inches on this line, I'm just going to line my triangle up with that dash mark I made previously and close that rectangle. And it's really important to keep this T-square really hugged up against the edge of your board. You might see here that my vertical line is straying just a little bit from my new line here, and that's either because this board isn't in square because I drew that vertical line with the T-square on this edge, or it's because I just didn't have this appropriately hugged up against the edge and the 90-degree angle was actually thrown off. So double checking it, it does look like it's still 90 degrees, so I'm going to just say that this MDF board isn't actually a true 90 degrees. Okay, so next I'm going to lay out my side. And again, I want plenty of room. And I have here a rough sketch of what the side will look like here. It's a little bit out of scale. I think I wrote down here I wanted it to be 12 inches wide total. And you can see one of the major advantages of having this front view and this side view lined up with each other is now, rather than having to make that measurement a second time, I can actually just line it up here and take that line over. And now finally I'm going to be doing the layout for my top view. So one of the really cool things about orthographic drawings is that if I put a 45-degree line here at the corner of my tool tote, I'm going to keep this light because this is just my reference line. Then I can actually, with no measurements at all, create my top view. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the side of the tool tote, line it up here, and make a dash mark on my 45-degree line like that. I might need a longer triangle. So having this dash mark basically acts as reflecting a mirror image of something. So you can kind of think of this 45-degree line as a mirror here. Because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to line it up on the dash mark at the intersection of the 45-degree line, make a little cross just to tell myself I've referenced that line. And then I have a pretty good idea and then here I can just reflect up directly.